right, do you want to start? So let me introduce you to Nancy Paton and
Zainab
Shaheen, who created Mountain Boy, a film that saw a really good reception at film festivals, tells the story of a boy, and I think I'll let you introduce the movie and what it really is about. How would you describe it to someone who wants to see it? How do you make it interesting? What's the story?
Do we have a trailer that we were going to show to people? Is there a trailer? No, it didn't go up. Okay, so no trailer. It was sent last night. Anyway, so I'm the producer of the film. Basically, I read a book during the Special Olympics in Abu Dhabi. I don't know if any of you attended, but during the Special Olympics, there were many awareness campaigns for autism, and I got a hold of a book called The Boy Who Knew the Mountains, which is based on a real boy with autism from Fujairah, who, shines a light on the importance of unity and bringing people with autism into the community. My child, who is emotionally sensitive, was crying when they read this book, and I was like, I want to make this into a feature film. So I went and saw the author of the book, Michele Ziolkowski, and it said she was Emirati, but when I saw her, she was actually Australian, like myself. And we started talking about her time in the UAE and the book, and she wanted to make it an animation. And so basically I was like, no, this would be an amazing film with a real boy with autism, and really showcasing the UAE and the culture and the history and the landscape of the country, which is so versatile and so beautiful. That being said, this was pre-COVID, so everything during COVID got very tricky for financing, and it looked like this movie was never going to get made. No one wants to do a UAE film, feature film, let alone a feature film, let alone about a story about a boy with autism. But I kept fighting and asking and knocking on doors, rejection after rejection. And then finally, just after COVID, I was lucky enough to get some money. It wasn't enough that I wanted, but I was like, I'm going to do this. And then it was time to find the director, the right director. When you look for a director to take a story, of course, people want a name, people want someone famous, people want someone who has experience, and sometimes those doors are closed for up-and-coming filmmakers. And my concept was, this is a fresh story. It's something new to the UAE. Why do we need to get someone from Egypt or Lebanon? Why don't we get an Emirati to tell an Emirati story? Wasn't so easy to persuade people, by the way. And then because it's a boy, because he has autism, I really wanted to find a woman. I thought a woman's touch, a mother's touch, being sensitive. So I started looking for female directors. And that is how I found Zainab amongst many other women in the region. I thought her determination, her hard work, her commitment was something that really impressed me, because filmmaking is long hours, 6 days a week, 6 weeks in a row, 20 hours a day. And that was the question I asked Zainab, can you stay up and can you be on set every day? And she was. So, and that's, well, maybe Zainab, you can tell us why you wanted to do this story. Yeah.
Hi everyone, this is Zainab Shaheen. I met Nancy before like 2 years in 2022 in November.
Yep.
And when she asked me, do you want to be a director? And my first answer was no, I don't want to be a director, because I know it's a big responsibility, special for a feature film. So she tried to convince me, and she tried to show me how hardworking I am, and what's the good side of a feature film. And she gave me the topic about the boy who knew the mountain, Mountain Boy, and she gave me the script of it, and I read it, and I was like, this is about autism, and I never heard a film talking about an autism. Maybe there are, but like this is my first time seeing a script talking about this sensitive topic, and I wanted to show it to the world in a good way. I was so excited because I was so excited to show the beauty of UAE, the landscape of UAE, especially the beauty of Fujairah, which is our story set in. And I wanted to share the heartwarming family story of Mountain Boy. So we started to work together, and we started to talk about my vision about the film, and oh, it was so amazing. Like, we had a hard experience. It was a hard journey, but we made it. Like, thank God we made it at the end.
So tell us a little bit about Suhail, who is the boy who then retreats to the mountains. Tell us a little bit, how did you connect with him as a character from the story, and then later with the actor? Because I believe you casted an actor that also has autism, and surely there must have been very interesting connection points in then crafting this story visually.
We'll go from, originally the vision was, we are going to have a story about a boy with autism, and it's all about inclusivity. Why don't we get a boy with autism? Why do we have to get an actor? Why do we have to, and from the beginning I said, no, this is gonna be a boy with autism playing the part. And people were like, you're not going to find an Emirati boy with autism where his family is going to allow him to be on set. For 30 days he was on set. I said, I'm going to find him. And we auditioned in Fujairah, in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi. We went to all the autistic schools. We nearly didn't find the boy. And he was the last child that came into our audition before we went for an actor. And he walked in and we were like, oh, that's Suhail. And he was Suhail, and he is Suhail. And then his mother said yes. And then let's talk about how he was on set, because you were with him.
Yeah. So meeting Nasser was a big challenge for us because he's an autistic boy, and we were afraid of how, like, the idea of dealing with an autistic boy. But we came along, like, we managed to create a good relationship with the boy and with Nasser, and he started to love the set, to love the filming, like, from the beginning, from the very, very first days. He was getting tired quickly, and he was he almost changed the idea of choosing to be an actor for Mountain Boy. But days by days, he get used to it, and he loved it. Dealing with Nasser wasn't hard as much as having a limited time to film the film. So we only had, we shoot it in 35 days.
Yeah, so I think that it wasn't working with Nasser. That was our concern, was budget. Purely lack of financing, not being able to, normally a film like this would be like 4 months of filming. We did it in 30 days, so 6 weeks. And that was purely because we couldn't get all the raising of the money. So we cut a lot of scenes out. We had to make our days shorter for him. We had to move around stuff for him. So that was, but working with him on set, as in character, on camera, if you see the trailer, he is beautiful. Like, he is, everyone who's watched it is like, oh my God, I love this boy. Like, he's just, and he's a future Tom Cruise, I think.
Yeah,
he's the Emirati Tom Cruise. I tell you, I think Tom Cruise might be on the spectrum.
Yeah, the future. Yeah, we'll get the idea of the Little Prince, if you know it.
The Little Prince.
Yeah, he's a lot like him. So he was charming, he was quiet, and he was smart also. He was so smart, and he was he learned fast. For the last 3 days, he became a director. He said, cut and action for each scene.
It's interesting that you mention Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, which is very much a book about imagination and a book about how you see the world, right? With this actor and with the story of this book, how did you find this balance between telling the story, at the same time also showing, it's all filmed in Fujairah, showing the environment.
And Abu Dhabi.
And Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
And Abu Dhabi. How did you find that balance with also showing where this is all happening, the environment, which plays an important cultural role as well, right? How did this come along?
Sorry. Can you repeat? Sorry.
Sure.
I was looking at Thoraya.
So how did you incorporate the environment, the UAE, Fujairah and Abu Dhabi, into the story? Because I believe there's also a strong cultural and heritage element that plays a vital role in telling the story of Suhail.
So because we'll go from producer to director. I think that makes sense. The reason why I was adamant about a Fujairah director, or any Emirati fresh director, was I wanted them to showcase what they find beautiful about their country, and to have the power and the privilege to be able to show us what they see. I think it's very, as I said, the story is written about a boy who's Emirati, but it is from an eyes of an expat in a sense. And we did have Rihanna co-write the script, so we could allow, but in filming, we really wanted someone who knows Fujairah. I mean, and I think, so when we were looking at locations, then Zainab connected with every place. She had stories of her own that she could then, and that's how we go from there.
Yeah. For the story of the film, as Nancy said, we had a lot of challenges, like changing the script, changing the lines because of the autistic boy Nasser. But we, at the end, had a great film at the end. Talking about the landscapes, what I really was excited about saying yes to Mountain Boy is to show Fujairah from my eye, as a Fujairah person, as a girl who grew up in Fujairah for more than 20 years. I wanted to show to the world, not for only UAE and for Arab people, to the world how beautiful the Fujairah landscapes are and how it's breathtaking. And what inspired me a lot to do that is the Lord of the Rings films, and how the beauty of the cinematography of it. So I wanted to create a mini version, like a UAE version of Lord of the Rings, but in story, an Arabic story, an UAE story. And
when we get more money, we can do that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now, mountains have a very special energy, right? They're a very unique place. My favorite places in the UAE are in Fujairah and Ras Al Khaimah. Beautiful places. There's this strong energy. How did you find it as a director to capture not just the scenery, but the energy that the place has, pairing it up with an actor like Nasser? How did you find that as a director?
So Mountain Boy is more a spirit. For the cinematography, it's a spirit more than an art. How can I explain this? It will touch your spirit more than you will see it. It is more artistic, and I tried to balance between the story of Suhail and the landscapes by Nasser, who was he loved the landscape of Fujairah. He started to get along with the character and become Suhail, the boy who knew the mountain. And we started to explore more places in Fujairah that I personally never know. And we tried to capture every detail, and as an autistic boy, from the story, he can see details that we can't see. So we had to learn how an autistic boy can see the world from his eyes. So I think that's helpful.
One thing about working with an autistic boy was, he actually was very in tune with nature. So we would be setting up the sets, and you guys would be working. And of course, he likes to wander. He likes to go places. Yeah. He had a carer with him at all times, and his father. So we had to have a person who knows how to, a guardian for an autistic child. But we would be turning around, and he'd be on top of the mountain screaming, "I'm Mountain Boy, I'm Mountain Boy." And then we're like, we need to get him up there and have that shot. So there is a scene in the movie where it was inspired actually by him going on the mountain himself.
At the top of the mountain. He liked to climb mountains a lot, yeah.
And I think so we have this very good connect in the movie where, yes, a lot of it's scripted, and yes, but then we also, while working with Nasser, kind of saw what he liked and what he wanted to do, and then kind of followed his lead as well. So that's, I think, why the movie, you say you you make a movie 3 times. When you write it, you edit it, and you film it, and film it and edit, and filming it was so different to what we wrote, completely different.
Do you think there was Nasser also being an autistic child? Do you think, you mentioned his view on the world, how he sees things. Do you think that was also essential in making Mountain Boy different to other films that might talk about the subject when you actually have an actor who has a unique view on the world?
Yeah, actually, we tried that. Yeah.
That was, I mean, that was the reason, you know, from the beginning I was quite adamant because, you know, we played a lot with sound, we played a lot with visuals. You know, they're very in tune, sensitive. So, you know, we would hear a donkey far away, that donkey would be really close. So, you know, the sound of the water, the texture, the smells. This was something we talked about. How do we
Capture the smell.
capture the silence in the chaos, you know, between what he sees and what we, you know, and I think Zainab did a fantastic job in catching all those moments as well.
Yeah, especially
for us to look at the world differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for some scenes, like we have Nasser before shooting, before start to shoot, he start to explore the world. I mean the location behind him, and whenever I see him, he like stop between like beside a rock or beside a plant. We try to capture that with the other cameras so we can see like his behavior is not acting, it's natural. And most of the scene, he starts to talk naturally with other actors, like he became Suhail. And he starts to talk normally with the actors as he's telling his story. So I think that it helps us a lot to show how is an autistic boy being in a film, and also not only acting. No, he present himself as
The authenticity of it.
Yes.
I think you've given us like a great hunger now to see some of Suhail and some of Mountain Boy. I believe we have a trailer loaded that we can show. So let's have a look at the trailer before we maybe talk a little bit more about production. How was it filming in Fujairah? But let's first have a look at the trailer. I think we maybe give this a moment. Let's check if we
Just
can
watch it
maybe get
without
the
sound.
sound. Yeah. And the quality as well.
It's on YouTube.
So it is on YouTube. If we don't watch it here, we watch it on YouTube. What do we look for? Mountain Boy? Okay, so that's easy enough. Now let's look at production for a second. You said Fujairah, everything was filmed in Fujairah in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
I've produced in Fujairah, I've filmed in Fujairah extensively, and I know it's not always the easiest. So there is challenges in access, there's challenging in getting crew and equipment to places. What do you find rewarding still going to these places and film there from a producer standpoint? Why do you still pick a location that's...
I'm a location person. I'm not a studio person. I really made my crew work. From the beginning, everyone knew we had a lot of sets. We had a lot of locations. People aren't really used to, you know, that here. And we're like, no, this is a story about nature. It's a story about to remind us all to go out, to enjoy the mountains, to enjoy the water. And we need those kind of stories for our children. You know, we've got AI coming, and everything they get to see is graphically made. It's not real mountains, not real water. We want them to have a taste for that texture, for that. I'm a mother of 3, so, you know, it worries me what my kids are going to like in the future. And I also, for me, this movie was so important because I want my kids to watch real stories. I don't want them to watch, you know, Paw Patrol all the time. I want them to watch about real children who overcome struggles, different cultures. I want them to understand different cultures, not just American culture. So I would like them to watch Arabic films, Asian films, you know, Kazakhstani movies. You know, we watch Bollywood all the time with the children because it's really important for them. And I guess this is why we started Mountain Boy. We want Emirati films. We want to have, you know, authentic Arabic culture, tribal culture, you know, mountain culture. We have sailors from Abu Dhabi. We did a lot with the sailors. They were brilliant. They were so, their faces. We wanted to make a movie just around the guys because they have these amazing facial structures off for camera. We have so much footage of these guys. We could actually
You
make
can make another
movie.
film.
Yeah, we didn't use it in the film, right?
We
We
took
have a
cameras.
documentary, right?
Right. So we got so much footage. You know, so for me, I mean, it was from the beginning. This was a project just to make sure that content is being made for families, for families, so they can see themselves in it, not just they can see themselves. Children, we've had a few festivals, and how many parents have come to us and said, well, maybe you can
they told
say.
us we don't have a lot of Arabic films here, and we were so happy to hear there's an Emirati film screening in Seattle.
Yeah, and then they came with their children, and actually the mother said, we were a bit worried because the trailer was a bit dark, and we weren't sure if this would be appropriate for our children. And then this was a perfect film. It was so amazing. We're like, because they wanted, and their son wanted to be Mountain Boy. Like he was like, I'm the Mountain Boy, so we need to make content for everyone, but more so for our children because they're the next generation. They are the next humans living on this earth. And if we don't show them nature and good morals and good stories, all they're going to do is have violence and killing, and that's not something we need to promote anymore. I think we have a lot of that. I think we need to look at art and culture in our stories where we can show our children another way of thinking or moving or doing. And that was my vision from the start, and I think I sold that to Zainab, and that's why she came on board.
Yeah, she liked to be. I want to make a joke. He wanted to beat Christopher Nolan for not choosing CGI in a film.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So you mentioned a couple of things now: culture, family, preserving heritage and values. So as an Emirati, how do you look at this, bringing not just a story about Suhail to a worldwide audience, but also Emirati values, culture, especially in Fujairah and areas where they're not like the metropole cities of the UAE, where I always felt there's a lot stronger bond, a much stronger bond with the environment, with the people. How do you feel bringing this to a worldwide audience? What are the points that you want to tell people that watch Mountain Boy when it comes to local culture and traditions and values?
So my point here is to show UAE in different perspective, and also to encourage other directors and Emirati directors especially to go and explore UAE and explore the mountains and the nature in UAE. Also, they have a lot in UAE to show, but I think there is a limit. There's a lot of chances for people, for directors.
It's difficult. People, getting funding is difficult. So someone has a story. Many directors have a vision, and they're like, it's hard. Specifically, something like this, you might have. Dubai Bling seems to be really easy to get money for, but things where you start talking about real stories or real relationships, it gets quite tricky to find that. And as you said it was a bit difficult to film in Fujairah, but I thought we had the opposite. I think we had such a welcoming community. People acted in our movie, the locals.
Fujairah were so kind.
Right?
Yeah.
People would come from the can we be in the movie? We're like, yeah, we need more extras. Come on in.
Nice.
So, we had everyone jumping on and saying, where are you guys? We were like, we need 20 more people. Okay, there's
literally a family film, even behind
all
the
the
scenes.
families.
Yeah.
Can I be the mum in the background? I'm like, sure. You might have fake nails. We'll just hide them in a. But that's okay. We had. I think we had the opposite. I think because it wasn't just a commercial. It was a film, and we were there for 2 months. So they knew, and everyone knew we were there. So then people started helping us. It was really beautiful, actually. And
it makes it even more authentic.
We need more of that in the UAE. In London, you can pick up a camera and film a short film without getting a permit. You can go film at the London. You've got 5 crew here. You need permits. Everything gets really difficult. It's very difficult to make indie films. And as you said, but for some reason we had a lot of luck in Fujairah and then in Abu Dhabi as well. When they saw what we were doing in Fujairah, they were very helpful in Abu Dhabi, and so next time we come to Sharjah.
I mean, I've been here for 2 decades, and I agree with you. Filming here used to be more complex than in Europe. I think it's gotten much better. I think the community's opened up. It's wonderful to hear that you have people joining a film to be part of it. I think it's definitely worth a watch. I'm going to watch it. And I think it's one of those stories. There's many more stories, like you said, that are worth to be told, and hopefully funding for them becomes easier. I think since we're almost at the end of the talk, I just want to check if there is anyone in the audience who might have questions for Nancy or Zainab. I think we have a microphone for you. Thank you, Nancy.
First, I would like to have a comment and then follow up with my question.
A little, you need to, yeah.
Okay. So the comment is, I think it's wonderful that you went ahead with having a movie that involves something different here, which is talking about someone who's autistic. Now, my question is, how did you get the family on board for Nasser to act? Because that's something a bit difficult here. It's complicated for you to get families to agree to these things.
Can I actually say something that's exactly what everyone said, and it was completely the opposite story. The autistic community here is so open and so welcoming, and they all work together. As soon as I did the casting and I sent it out to all the families, we had people coming to the audition who their children were actually high on the spectrum, so they would never be in the film as in able to play Suhail. But they came to the audition, and I have them on camera, and I have quite a few mothers that brought their sons and said, my son got the opportunity to audition for a film. You're giving my son the opportunity. Even if he doesn't get it, I'm so grateful to be here today because you're giving him an opportunity. And we actually had a few other autistic kids as extras in the film just to give more opportunities, and we wanted to do more. But it is quite difficult because we were, as I said, we didn't have the support initially. It's just what it is. And it's for all films, all filmmakers. It's not just our film, it's a common thing all over the world. That's completely. We had a lot of kids coming with their parents, but the boy had to speak Arabic and also with an Emirati accent, because it is an Emirati film. That was something Zainab really pushed for, the authenticity of the accent. And she definitely tried to do that when they were in Abu Dhabi. It was an Abu Dhabi accent. In Fujairah, she was trying to get the actors to speak with different dialects. But finding parents to come with their kids, that wasn't the issue. That was actually, we did have a lot. It was just making sure that the child, and then when we found Nasser, I remember the mother brought him. The mother did bring him for the audition. She thought it was a short film. So she was like, okay, so he's got the part. And I'm like, it's 35 days. and she was pregnant. And she's like, yeah, sure, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. And then she went into labor. And then, of course, her husband had to come on set, it's never done. Emirati father, to see an Emirati father on set, taking care of his son every day, teaching him lines. I mean, we were all in awe of Saleh. Like, I think he's like the best dad, hands down. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he was so supportive for the crew, for Nasser also to memorize the line and also understand the scene sometimes. And especially when you mentioned about the language of each cities, we try to use the simple UAE.
Like it's set in the 50s, so it is set going back, right? So it's before oil, before anything. That's the story, right? So we try to go to an authentic kind of, dialect.
Yeah, so it's a family film at the end. So
we didn't live in that day, so we're not sure. But I mean, we've heard it's good. But yeah, I think that's the thing. And I think the fear is something that always stops us. And I think one thing we had to learn is if we believe in something, we do need to it will come our way. And it did. And Nasser came like he is like, I'm hoping we can put him in more movies, because now he thinks he really is an actor now. He's the next Tom Cruise. Like, he's like, when's my next movie? Like,
he's excited for the next movie.
Yeah,
Especially about talking about fear, we were so afraid of how Nasser will react on each day, and not only like for the very first days. We were so afraid that each scene we have a lot of challenges, especially like
it might not happen. He might not show up.
Yeah, we were so afraid that he will just run away from the set. And sometimes we got some the sandstorm scenes and all those special effects.
Exact sandstorm, and
So
he had.
it's like a big, يعني, a big.
We're not telling too much of the story away. There's no sandstorms in
No
the UAE.
spoilers.
Just kidding. There was no sandstorm. But we were like, okay, you know, and this is health and safety. We have a boy with autism running through a sandstorm. Will his parents say? So everything. I mean, as a producer and director, the first thing is that those parents are number one. And we did everything to make them happy and be part of the crew. And then the boy was happy. And then the boy was always there. He was always before we were there. He was always ready to go.
Also, He was so excited. Like, he came to do everything in one shot only. Like,
What am I doing today? Sandstorm, rain, what is it? Like, we have a documentary about it. It's actually really good.
Well, you mentioned other movies before we wrap. What's next, Zainab, for you, and what's next for you, Nancy?
Well, I'm doing whatever Zainab's doing next, so.
We have inshallah, we will have a future film. We'll talk about.
We've got a few in the pipeline that we've been working with, a few other directors as well. We're really trying to push more local stories. So, and there's a lot, and she's got a great.
There's a lot of those that
There's
should definitely see the light of day and tell a story that, like Mountain Boy, that a lot of people just don't see because we have too little Emirati feature films.
Well, actually, we've got 4 girls in the movie. They're like the supporting actress, and they want to do Mountain Girls. So they want us to do the Mountain Girls movie.
They're
so they're ready as well.
So we wanted to, like, after this, for the future films, not for me, not for Nancy only, for all the directors in UAE, we want to level up our, not creativity, the film industry. Like, we wanted to move on, not to stay at the same place for like 50 years. So this is what we hope for.
I think we have a thriving community of new creatives and new young directors that are up and coming. And I think this sort of stereotypical approach that was there for a long time, I don't think the young directors like you have that anymore. They're breaking the glass ceiling every day, and it's so refreshing to see.
But I also, one thing I think people get, we filmed everything in the UAE. We did most of the film in the UAE. We didn't, apart from grading, we did everything else here. So, and we did music here. We have an amazing orchestra. We have amazing sound facilities. We have amazing crew, real talent from everywhere, from all around the world, Emirati and expats. And to always say, oh, we're not good enough here, or oh, we have to go to Egypt or Lebanon. I mean, that's not true. We actually, we really are starting to build a real great community, and we have to utilize that, and people want to work. And so make more content, and there is talent. And we did it here, and we have amazing talent. We know that.
Let's make less content and more films.
Yes, exactly. Great way to end. I completely agree.
Thank you so much both for being here, and everyone should go and watch Mountain Boy.